All right, guys, well, I want to review quickly with you how to add and subtract mixed numbers. So remember, when we're talking about a mixed number, that is a number that has a whole number. So I'll give you an example here, the whole number 3. And then it has a fraction with it. That's why it's a mixed number. It's between 3 and 4. So we have 3 and let's just say 1/4. And I'm going to add to that another mixed number. I'm going to say 2 and let's say 2/4. So 3 and 1/4 plus 2 and 1/4. And in order to add those, we kind of have to break them apart or decompose them, so to speak, into two different addition problems. So the first thing I would do is look at the fractions first, and I just want to add 1/4 plus 2/4, and that's going to equal 3/4, because we know that when we add fractions, the denominator, the bottom number, does not change. So that 4 down there at the bottom does not change, but we just add the numerators, those two top numbers. So the 1 plus the 2, and that equals 3. So that's why your answer is 3/4 there. And then we know that we need to deal with our whole numbers as well. So the 3 plus 2, and that's going to equal 5. So that and then we combine these two together to get our answer there, where our answer together, if we would combine those two, is going to be 5 and 3/4. That's how you add mixed numbers. Now, with that, it gets a little bit tougher. That's pretty straightforward, pretty easy, but it gets a little bit tougher when you start to look at subtracting. So I want to look at subtracting a little bit with this, so let me erase this. Give me a second. I think there's a quicker way to erase this on here, but I'm going to have to do it the long way. Okay. All right, guys, now that we have a clear page, a little bit of learning curve there for me on how to erase on this thing. So let's look at how to subtract mixed numbers. Now I'm going to give you kind of a tricky one here. I'm going to go 3 and 1/4 minus, let's go 2 and 3/4. Now, we want to look at the fractions first on this and kind of ask ourselves, okay, if I look at the fraction here, 1/4, and then I look at the fraction here, 3/4, I know that I can't subtract 1/4 from 3/4 without getting a negative number. So what I have to do is I have to know that I'm going to borrow from this 3 and make it a 2. Okay? Now I have to account for that whole number that I just took out of 3. So basically what I'm doing is since I'm dealing with fourths, that's the same as 4/4 plus the 1/4. I kind of have to add that 1/4 back into the 4/4 that I took from the 3. So that ultimately will equal 5/4. So I'm basically rewriting this fraction from 3 and 1/4 to 2 and 5/4. That way I can subtract 2 and 3/4. And then it's really the same process that I used the last time when I was talking about adding fractions. So I take care of my fractions first, and if I do that, I can do 5/4 minus 3/4. Same process. Denominator does not change. Subtract the numerators, and I get 2/4. That's also known as 1/2. And if I do 2 minus 2, I know that 2 minus 2 is 0. So my answer ultimately on this problem is 1/2. So that's the key there. It's just kind of tricky. You can't take 1/4 from 3/4. So you know you have to take basically that whole number 1 and represent it as a fraction there, so you can do the subtraction problem.